It's January 25th, 1967 in Ashburnham, Massachusetts. The Andreasson family has just finished dinner when the lights suddenly cut out. Outside, the night sky glows with a strange red and pink light, casting eerie shadows across the farmhouse walls. As the family peers through the windows, figures appear. But these figures aren't neighbors. They're not animals. And they're not even from this planet. Tonight, we're diving into one of New England's most detailed alien abduction cases, the 1967 abduction of Betty Andreasson Luca. And lucky for us, we're not doing it alone.
I'm Matt from Paranormal Directive 13.
I'm Kathy.
I'm Chris.
I'm Sean, and this is Weirder After Dark. So this is our first spooky season episode, and we're doing some fucking aliens, and we are lucky. Not only is it us here today's episode, but we got Matt from Paranormal Directive 13. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Matt, I've listened to a bunch of your episodes. We've seen some TikToks. You and I originally hit it off on Reddit over, what was it? The Dover Demon.
Dover Demon, yeah.
Yes, Dover Demon.
Hit it off on the Dover Demon. That led to a little connection. We're here today, so we're so stoked to have you on board. I want to start with a quick question for you, Matt, if we can. What got you interested in starting your podcast?
Yeah, so honestly, I've always loved paranormal stuff. When I was a kid, we used to go up to the Adirondacks, and every year when we're driving up there, I'm staring out the window. I'm 7, 8 years old, and I'm like, I gotta find Bigfoot. I gotta find Bigfoot. And forever, I've always had this fascination with aliens and Bigfoot and cryptids and all that. And then I got into listening to some other podcasts, and I started hearing different paranormal stuff. I was like, I love this shit. I talk about it all the time. And so I'm like, you know what? I can talk about this. Let me record some episodes. So that's really how it was born. It's just been always a fascination of mine.
I love that. And I think we all kind of have some type of fascination. I know I grew up watching Joshua Gates on Expedition Unknown and loved the Bigfoot theories.
Ancient Aliens.
Oh my God. Yeah, we went to
Ancient Aliens was great.
Incredible. We went to that Ancient Aliens live show in Portsmouth a couple of years ago too, which was just incredible.
It was definitely a vibe.
Yeah. One thing I've always wondered, Matt, is the name of your podcast, Paranormal Directive 13. 13 is my favorite number. I don't know if you know this. It's Taylor Swift's favorite number. So I don't know. Is there something there? What's the magic?
My favorite number.
It's your favorite number?
Yes.
We have the favorite number?
Yes.
How the fuck didn't we know this? Sorry, Matt.
I knew it. I knew it. I don't know where you've been.
All right. Sorry, Matt. Sorry. This is about Matt, not about us.
So really, I went back and forth for a long time trying to figure out a name. And 13 is always a number that sticks out with paranormal stuff. It's, Friday the 13th. And I was trying to find something that sounded a little official. And honestly, I used a lot of ChatGPT.
Okay.
And I was like, let me bounce some names, and they gave me some suggestions, and we went back and forth, and I would ask friends, and I finally came across Paranormal Directive 13. Kind of sounds like official document kind of deal.
It does.
It does,
I just kind of went with it.
It definitely has that, like, what I'm putting out there is legit.
Right. Okay.
I know what I'm talking about.
I do know on TikTok, they don't.
No. TikTok has issues with you.
Dude, they do so bad.
They do.
My God. I made a post about HARP and weather control.
Yeah.
And they flagged that one. I'm like, all right, I kind of get it because they don't like you talking about the government and all that. And then the other day I made one about Star Wars.
That's what I was going to bring up.
It was talking about like Emperor Palpatine and how he funded terrorists from Naboo, like the Trade Federation. And they flagged that. I'm like, bro, it's fucking Star Wars. Like, the first sentence of the post is Emperor Palpatine from the planet Naboo.
It's not even a real...
We're not on TikTok right now, so we can say, fuck you, TikTok. Fuck you.
I'll say fucking TikTok.
Well, then I guess taking us into Star Wars, we've got an episode today, Matt, on abductions. Maybe we'll just start with a fresh, hot take right off the bat.
Yeah.
What is your take on aliens? Are they real? Are they out there? Are they visiting us? Where you stand?
Oh, 100% real. 100%. I have zero doubts that they're real. Now, are they as here as some people think? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just made a recent thing about Stephen Greer talking about how a lot of the UAPs and UFOs that people are seeing are most likely false flag government operations. That makes sense to me. So I don't know if a lot of the abductions and cases we're seeing are actual extraterrestrial, but I have no doubt that they're here. The universe is so vast. There's literally no way they're not real.
I agree.
You can't convince me otherwise.
It's just hubris to say that we are the only intelligent life forms in the universe. I mean, it's almost ridiculous. It's a mathematical improbability.
There was a recent video that came out a couple days ago. Chris went ahead and he pulled up the video for us so we can all react to it. Chris, why don't you hit play on that and let's take a peek.
All right.
Gang, if you haven't seen this yet, what you're ultimately going to see is a UFO that's right in the crosshairs, right in the center screen. And then what you're going to see from the top left-hand side of your screen is you're going to see that missile that's coming in. And there you go. You see it hits it.
Yeah.
It hits it. You see it like spin
It kind of like
almost.
goes through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then 3 little pieces come off of it.
Yeah. It's almost like it just barely throws it off course a little bit. So it did make contact. 3 little identical pieces fly off the end, but the 3 pieces continue moving at the same momentum with it.
Almost like it's like it has like a magnetic force that's like
Something,
pulling
yeah.
it
What
together.
I was hearing is when it hit it, it knocked 3 individual UFOs out of whatever this bubble was. Like they were all traveling in this bubble.
Okay,
And then
so
when
there's
the
more than
missile
just
hits, it
one
knocks them
UFO
out.
inside that
Yeah,
screen.
like it knocks them out and they're trying to get back into
Like a protective
They're-
force.
yeah,
Almost.
something like that. That's what I've heard on it.
Why didn't it explode?
Why didn't it stop moving?
Yeah, and the missile
Right,
just
because it
kept
just went
going.
right through.
Yeah. And I was reading online that it might not have made direct impact and it needs to make like a big impact in order for like the actual warhead itself to actually go off and explode.
But
So-
it had to have made contact if it split pieces off.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe
So
it
there
wasn't
had
hard
to-
enough. I don't know.
And unless it's hitting a plasma field,
Yeah.
and that's disrupting their
what's
whole
inside of it.
flow. Yeah, and it's just pushing them out.
As crazy as that sounds, that's the best explanation for that video I've heard. That they
Yeah.
hit some kind of a plasma bubble and it knocked it out of the bubble and it came back together. Because other than that, you would see an explosion.
Yeah,
It's
for
crazy.
real.
Well, tonight we are actually going to be hunting down a potentially true story happened right here in New England, in Massachusetts, about aliens coming and literally kidnapping someone. Got your face. Your face.
I don't know where I land on the abduction. I believe that there is extraterrestrial life out there.
Okay.
I just don't know where I land on all of the abductions.
Ooh, well, maybe let's leave that there. And maybe what we'll
Nope.
do is we'll see, does the story of Betty Andreasson change your mind and make you a believer or move you more towards skeptic? Chris, where are you?
Well,
Believer, skeptic?
Sean, the 4th time I got abducted.
yeah. Dude, if you've been abducted, fuck you. That's all I got to say.
Why haven't I heard about this?
No, I did the story on 3 New England abductions, and all 3 of them kind of scared the shit out of me.
What about you, Matt? Abductions. What do you think? Do you think these are actually happening out there?
I think they're happening, but I think you got to kind of take a grain of salt with which story you're hearing. Betty and Barney Hill, for me, was 100%. I think they got abducted. As I got more into that story and researched it, I was like, there's too many details, too many things that are not pop culture references. That's the big thing for me is like, are you just relaying pop culture references into what happened to you and are you making money off it? Like Betty and Barney Hill were kind of the first.
Yeah, they started
But then
the
I
pop
did an
culture.
episode on Travis Walton. And as I got more into Travis Walton, I was like, this just sounds like a money grab. I started as a believer for him, but at the end, I was like, no, I don't buy this.
He had like a work deadline, right? That he needed to hit.
Yeah, there was
yeah.
too many weird things with him. But
Yeah.
I think people are getting abducted. I 100% believe people are getting abducted. But I
Okay.
think the stories we hear are a mixed bag.
I'm a complete skeptic on abductions. I think aliens are real. They're out there, but I don't know if people are getting abducted. I don't know. I'm on the fence. So we've got 3 skeptics and then 1 potential believer. Okay. Okay. I love this. Today's case on Betty Andreasson took place in 1967. Our main source is actually going to be a book by Raymond Fowler called The Andreasson Affair that was published in 1978. And it actually documents the entire investigation that was led by Dr. James Harder and a team who ran 13 hypnotic regression sessions with Betty over a 4 to 5 month period. They met Betty, and at points, they also met with her daughter Becky, and they unpacked everything that happened to her on January 25th, 1967. Now, I do want to throw out one really quick disclaimer. I'm focusing today's story specifically just on what was published and the Andreasson Affair. And gang, if you listen to this story and you're like, I want more, we could do 10 fucking episodes on this one woman just because there are so many different abduction stories. I just want to call out, I'm going to only focus today's story on this one book and her first ever full abduction story.
Okay.
So with that, are we ready to dive in?
Ready.
It's January 25th, 1967 in Ashburnham, Massachusetts. Betty Andreasson and her 7 children have settled into a new routine. Every afternoon, supper is served by 4:30 sharp so that Betty can drive to the hospital to visit her husband James, who is recovering from a devastating car crash that happened several weeks earlier. Betty and James had married when Betty was only 17 and he was 21, and they've remained together for the preceding 13 years. But to call their marriage easy or happy would be a complete and utter lie.
No, they have fucking 13 kids.
And she got married when she was 17.
Yeah.
So who the hell eats dinner at 4:30?
Through the years, financial strain, religious differences, and the pressures of raising 7 fucking children slowly chipped away at their patience with each other. And now, with James being hospitalized since December 23rd, a month prior, her life was a swirl of chores, bills, and faith. As a devout Christian, Betty grounded her family in scripture and prayer, finding in her religion the stability that she couldn't find in her husband. To shoulder the load, Betty's parents, Wayno and Eva Aho, moved in to lend a hand. Their presence kept the house running, the meals cooked, the laundry folded, and the children tucked into bed. On Wednesday, January 25th, the Andreasson routine had been moving along like any other day, but it would end up anything but. See, that night was an anomaly right off the bat. It was an incredibly mild day for January. Only a trace of snow clung to the ground of Massachusetts, and a thick fog was actually hanging over the town. By early evening, the family had settled into the rhythm. The younger kids, James, Mark, Scott, Todd, and Bonnie, had been fed, bathed, dressed for bed, and they were all gathered in the living room watching Bozo the Clown, which I didn't know that was a real TV show.
I watched it when I was a kid. Yes.
Oh, man, you're dating yourself now.
I am dating myself, yes. I watched Bozo the Clown. You're lucky. It was actually terrifying. Google it. It's horrible.
3-year-old Cindy was curled up on her grandmother's lap as Eva slowly rocked in the chair and hummed softly to put Cindy to sleep. Wayno, the grandfather, drank coffee in the kitchen, and Betty stood at the sink finishing up the chores before heading off to visit James. And it was in that moment the lights flickered. The first time, the family thought nothing of it really. But then it happened a second time. And then a third time. And then the fourth time, the lights just completely went out. And almost at the exact moment the lights died, a strange, pinkish, reddish, orange glow spilled into the house through the kitchen window. It was captivating. As it poured in, it cast shadows all over the kitchen. Years later, under hypnosis, Betty would describe the moment like this. Suddenly the lights were off, and we wondered, what was it? And we looked over by the small kitchen window, and I could see the light. It was pink at first, and now the light's getting brighter. It's now reddish, and it's orange, and it's pulsating. It's getting bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller. It seemed like the whole house had this weird stillness all around it, all around everything. Betty's eldest daughter, Becky, described the scene the following statement. The next thing I knew, Mom was just going, shh, shh, be quiet. There's some huge pulsating glow outside the kitchen. It's a big glow. Get into the living room. And she slowly just pushed all her children into the living room. Becky followed her mother's instructions. From there, Becky looked down the hallway toward the kitchen and could see a dark, silhouetted shape bobbing in front of the pink light.
Ooh.
Betty's father, Wayno, stepped toward the pantry and looked out the back window into the yard. This is what he claimed to see. He said, there were creatures, Halloween-looking freaks. I thought they had put on a funny kind of headdress, imitating a man on the moon or something. It was funny the way they jumped one after the other, just like grasshoppers. When they saw me looking at them, they stopped. The one in front looked at me, and I felt kind of queer. That's all I knew. That's what I felt. And it was in that moment, everything went black. Not just for Wayno, but for Eva and for all of Betty's children. For James, for Mark, for Scott, for Todd, for Bonnie, for Cindy, and for the eldest, Becky. 1 second, they're all frightened by this glow of lights and seeing these creatures. And then the next, it's like their consciousness was completely turned off. Like they were put to sleep or into a trance, but not for Betty.
So everyone else is kind of like, they just sort of like blackout
gone.
It's just everything stops. But for her...
Betty has full awareness.
Is she seeing everyone just kind of like sitting still?
She is. Everyone is perfectly still frozen except for her. She can still move. She has her awareness.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Because with Barney and Benny Hill, we had the missing time too, right?
Yeah.
In that story, where it was an hour later and they found themselves back on the road and they have no idea what happened.
It's so creepy. I hate it. It freaks me out.
It freaks me out even more.
It jives with the other stories we've told too.
Yeah. It does.
It freaks me out even more that she was conscious of the fact that everyone around her, but she was still very much aware of what was happening. That, I think, is creepier than anything else.
It's as if those moments were preparing the household for first contact. Betty watched as 4 beings all of a sudden started coming towards the door. But they didn't knock. They didn't even open the door. They passed right through it, as if solid wood wasn't even there. As they did, they moved in a strange, jerky motion, as if leaving some kind of vapor trail behind them as they moved through the door. Betty drew a picture of this. Picture literally looks like as they move through the door, it's almost like you see like 6 of one being as it's moving through.
I was just going to say, it's almost like they like move, freeze.
Yeah.
And then there's like an image left, and then they move, freeze, image left.
How you got there with what I said is crazy.
No, that's, that's exactly what I saw. Yeah, okay.
It's like walking through a strobe light.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Betty said each of the beings came through as if playing a game of follow the leader. Scared as the first one came through, she stepped back. Frantic to make sense of what was happening, Betty wondered if she was seeing angels. That was the only explanation that made sense for her Christian lens that she had on the situation. After all, Jesus could walk through a door. Jesus could walk on water. So these individuals must also be angels. But these didn't resemble any kind of angel Betty had been taught about as she went to church and as she studied the Bible. All 4 of these creatures were identical. Gray, clay-like skin, oversized, pear-shaped heads, 3 fingers with no nails. They had large, wrap-around cat-like eyes that dominated the majority of their faces. They had mere holes for noses and ears and a small, thick, scar-like mouth. They wore shiny, dark blue and silverly form-fitting uniforms, each sleeve adorned with an emblem that resembled a bird with outstretched wings. Their 3-fingered little hands were even covered by gloves, and they wore boots that rose up into their pants. They all looked exactly the same, identical even, except for one. One was slightly taller, standing at approximately 4 feet tall. Betty took this taller one to be their leader. Which is just like, what does that say about America?
What? So like we think because he's tall, he's the leader.
Yeah, dude, he's Tinder profile. Just popping off.
4 foot.
He's the tall one at 4 feet.
Yeah. All those alien bitches want him. Oh my gosh. Okay. As she stood captivated, a calm came over her for reasons she couldn't explain. She was no longer scared. The beings had some kind of friendliness about them, which, fuck you, Betty. No fucking way are you calm.
Don't be like every other American. Just because they're aliens does not mean they're out to get us.
Yeah, bro, they just walked through my door. They didn't knock. They didn't knock. They're asking for violence.
It does not mean that they are there to hurt you. Stop it.
That's a common thing, though, is like people see these things and they're terrified. And then all of a sudden they get this sense of like, everything's okay.
Yeah, everything's calm and peaceful. Stop being afraid.
It's some sort of like weird mind thing.
Yeah, some kind of
like
telepathy.
you said, this is America. You should shoot them.
Yes, because you should have a gun and immediately start shooting.
Don't we all?
The aliens are like, no, use the kind telepathy because they're Americans and they will shoot at you first.
They're American. They need Zen.
Funny you bring that up because as this feeling of friendliness came over her, that's when she heard it. These beings could speak, but not with their mouths, telepathically.
Yeah.
It sounded as if they were talking out loud, but their lips didn't move. The leader ended up identifying himself as
John Smith.
Oh my God, I'd die. The leader identified himself as Quasga, and it seemed these creatures already knew her because they referred to her as Betty. Being the good Christian mother she was, her first question to them was whether they needed something to eat.
Okay. Come on, get some stew. We got to do that. Let's go.
I like it.
I
she
made
didn't
some
try
cookies.
to shoot them.
The creatures nodded. So Betty went to the fridge, grabbed some meat, and started to fry it on the stove. As she timidly cooked, she received a second communication. It said, "We cannot eat food unless it's burned." So she started to burn the meat. As the meat smoked and started to burn, the creature stepped back as if in awe of the smoke. A mental image started to form in her mind, and then she also saw it followed up with words. "That's not our kind of food. Our food is knowledge tried by fire. Do you have any food like that?"
So their food is knowledge.
That's what they're saying.
Knowledge tried by fire?
Yeah.
That's deep.
What does that mean by you when you see that? Tried by fire, knowledge tried by fire. What's the first thing you would offer a being that wanted knowledge tried by fire?
I would try to offer them the most intelligent thought that I had. I don't know what that is right now.
We have 4 captains in. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is right now.
I don't even know. I got a dictionary. Do you want
All I can think of is what is your worst experience that you've learned from, right?
Okay. All right.
Knowledge
I like
by
that.
fire, right?
Knowledge by fire. I like it.
Smart.
Betty stopped to think. As a religious woman, the only 100% true fire-tested knowledge she knew was the Bible. She later described what happened next as follows. They followed me into the living room, and I looked and I saw all my family as if time had stopped for them. I wondered what happened, but I glanced down and picked up the Bible that was on the end of the table. I turned and passed it to the leader. The leader passed me a little thin book in exchange. The leader put the Bible in his hand and waved his hand over it. Other Bibles magically appeared, thicker than the original one I gave them. Then he passed it to those beside him, and they all took the books. They somehow flipped through it page by page and looked down. Each page was luminous white, and then they stopped, and I started to look in the little blue book they gave me. At that exact moment, Becky, Betty's eldest daughter, somehow regained consciousness.
Well, a lot just happened.
Yeah.
So they're asking her for basically her most intelligent information that she has, and that's their food. And so she hands them her Bible because for her, that is her truth. That is
wisdom by
wisdom.
fire.
And then they take it and they kind of hover over it as in a way of maybe like absorbing it.
It seems like Quasga Ultimate puts his hand over it and he somehow replicates the Bible.
Okay.
Makes multiple versions of the Bible.
And then
hands it off to all his buddies
ones
that are inside the room
But
with
they're
them.
bigger.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Somehow there's more info in them.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
So when it becomes thicker, is that because they're taking this along with maybe other civilizations throughout different universes, and that is the wisdom that they've obtained, and they're putting it into like one book?
I interpret it as their language might use larger text, so there's more pages. Or maybe it's like glyphs or same signals.
That actually
They're
makes more sense.
nearsighted like me.
They need to go to font 96.
When they translate it to their language, it becomes bigger.
Yeah.
I have an issue when these extraterrestrials are so keen to key into Christian religion.
Yeah.
Like Woody Derenberger with Injured Cold. He said that when he went out, they talked about all these Christian beliefs. And it's like, whether you're religious or not, how the fuck does that get across the universe? That's what kind of throws it for me. Like that one specific religion is what these extraterrestrials from across the universe are expecting to read.
Is that because the religion of the people that we're hearing the stories from? Because isn't there a documentary on a place where people go and meditate and they actually like monitor their brainwaves of when they go, and they actually are saying that they were communicating with...
Oh, where they were meditating and they would start to see UAPs in the sky and they were somehow channeling them. Yeah.
So, I mean, is it only because these are the people that are telling the stories? Other cultures aren't as open to sharing their experiences, but maybe they are having them?
If they're looking for wisdom, then yes, right? They're going to talk to multiple different people and have multiple different wisdoms, right?
Or maybe these creatures are just trying to key in on what this group believes. So they frame everything that they're showing in what someone's going to understand.
Right.
And like, you're a very devout Christian. Yeah. Well, I'm going to frame everything in a Christian mindset for you so you can see it.
This is going to be a really, really interesting point we're going to come back to in a little bit.
Okay. So we're touching on what is happening.
Some good shit. So as Betty looked at the little blue book, her eldest daughter, Becky, started to regain consciousness. And this is what she said she saw. There was something there and it looked so scary, but Mom was okay. It looked like a clay man. He looked just like a clay gray man, and he was talking to Mom somehow. It was some kind of man creature, and behind him, right behind him toward the right, there was a little one. And then there are two after him that are just exactly like him, like they were triplets. My mom was standing there with her hand on something, and that clay form had his hand on the other part. It looked like a book. The clay hand is holding something else. Becky later described what else she saw. Her brothers and her sisters in the room, but also the TV. Somehow, although the other electricity was off, the TV was on, but it was very dim, very gray, very low. Although these creatures were very terrifying to look at, she said she didn't feel fear. She felt a very close connection to them, like she liked them, that they didn't mean harm, even if they were scary to look at. She described the beings in detail. They were wearing pants and a tucked-in shirt, tight-fitted, something like scuba diving outfit. It was really tight and close to the skin. The suit ended near their shoes. Their eyes were big, like huge marbles. And although she couldn't see their mouths when they stood sideways, when they faced her, she could see a small wrinkle in the clay. Then the taller entity all of a sudden became aware that Becky was awake. He saw me standing there, and he went for me. And then all of a sudden, all I could see was darkness. Unaware of everything that was going on between Becky and this alien, Betty continued looking at her little blue book. Its pages were snow white, and on one of them, she saw a silver gray top and a pair of coils and a wheel and a bunch of drawings and symbols that she just couldn't make sense of. So after looking at this shit, just being like, I don't know what the fuck this is, she closes the book. As she closed the book, all 4 beings that were standing next to her fixated on her eyes. Somehow pushing past the fear, Betty found the courage to ask why they were here. What you doing here, bitch? Why are you in my house?
Fair question.
Yeah, what's going on? And they answered, we have come to help. Will you help us? Betty said, how? And without hesitation, they all responded in unison. Would you follow us? Not sure what to do, Betty asked if the beings were of God, and they said, the world is trying to destroy itself. Would you follow us? Betty said, how can I help the world? And they said, would you follow us? Betty, still unsure of the next move, said, if you are God, and if you are here to help, I will follow you, but do not deceive me. The beings didn't break character. They just said, would you follow us? I love that they're committed to the bit. They're committed, and I love it. Betty stared into their eyes. She described them as hypnotic, and later would go even deeper and say that it was an invitation to follow them. And then all of a sudden that phrase, would you follow us, started repeating and echoing over and over and over again inside of her mind until her resistance finally thinned. In that moment, she looked at her children who remained frozen and she asked what they were going to do to them. What about her family? Quasga finally ended the repetitive request and responded, they're just resting. Would you follow us? I love how they're just tripling, quadrupling down.
They're just doubling
get
down
in the
on
ship.
that.
Get in the fucking ship, bitch. Let's go. The question beat on in her head. And then Betty prayed and asked the Lord for guidance. And almost as if they could hear her thoughts, and in fact, maybe they could, Quasga responded, we won't harm you. Being beaten down and seeing her family frozen, Betty likely felt she had no other options. So she said, all right.
Cool. I'll follow you.
Cool. Let's go.
That's kind of how we get followers at Waiter After Dark, too. We just keep asking over and over again and eventually break them down.
Will you follow us? I love that. I love that.
Fucking fine, I'll follow you.
And with that, Betty took her last step forward. She heard them say, stand directly behind me. Betty obeyed and felt herself almost locked into place, as if suction cupped into a single file, follow the leader line. She wasn't walking. She was floating inches off the floor, matching the being's precise pace. They moved through the kitchen door the same way they entered, without opening it. Her legs felt strange. Her whole body did, light as air. In the backyard, resting on struts, stood an oval craft with a raised central portion, surrounded by a thick haze. Betty could see nothing but the craft. She described the haze as so thick she couldn't see any of the neighbors' houses or anything past the ship itself.
Can I ask, who here is following?
Absolutely go.
Oh, fuck
yeah, me too.
No
What?
I'm
All of you
No
are going?
I'm following.
Even if I die, I gotta find out.
I think I gotta, yeah, you gotta go, right?
Fuck no, I'm not going. I'm not getting in that
Why?
thing.
You could say no.
Oh my God, I can't go. Dude, what are they going to do to you? You want to find out? What if it's bad?
Why not?
What if it's bad?
What if it's something awesome?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
What
Thank
fucking
you.
cooler
Why
could happen in your day?
All 3 of you are going to regret saying that.
stop immediately thinking
What
of
if
something
it's
bad?
so much cooler than going to work on Monday?
Yes.
Yes.
I was going to go play poker, but aliens want to take
Yeah.
me for a ride.
I
Cool.
was going to log on to my computer at my desk over there, but I got abducted by aliens.
Right.
That's a good excuse.
Gang, we are about to ask Matt, Chris, and Kathy how they feel about that decision in approximately 5 minutes.
That's
Start the
fine.
timers now.
I stand by my
What
choice.
happened?
Fun fact, local weather reports do confirm that on the evening of April 25th, 1967, in Ashburnham, Mass, there was a heavy fog and mist that is unnormal for that time of the year.
All right.
Throwing that out there.
Okay.
That was
so
real.
it was a shitty day on top of it.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out, I'll go with you. This fucking fog, I can't take any more days of this.
It was foggy and people had a hard time driving.
I fucking
They
hate
had
the
to use their
snow.
low lights.
Yeah, the middle of winter. Yeah, any chance to get out of town.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
I'm gone.
Yeah.
As the beings escorted Betty to the craft, the underside shifted from metallic to glass. Betty could now see inside of the ship, shapes she couldn't identify, devices she couldn't make sense of, but things she had seen before, things that matched the symbols and the images in the blue book Quasga provided her. What is it? She asked, and he responded, I have other things to show you. Come along. come along. Facing the vehicle, Quasga raised his left hand and an opening appeared in the craft. The beings led her aboard. As they continued, Betty floated into a small curved room. The door sealed behind them. Inside, they passed along corridors. Doors automatically opened and appeared from nowhere, some leading to staircases. At one point, they get into a cylindrical room, and Betty overhears Quasga say he has to get ready. After he declares this, he orders the other beings to take Betty to the upper room. The two beings start to escort her, one directly ahead and the other directly behind her. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, a hidden door hit the floor. Behind it, stairs spiraled upward, weightless, almost floating. They reached another room, and then the road trip seemed to stop for a while. There was a lot of waiting, and then the creatures finally went over and asked Betty to join them. Realistically, I truly think at this point in time that they're controlling wherever. I don't know why they keep asking her, like, hey, can you join us? Like, the bitch is floating. Like, they're dragging her.
She's committed.
Like, yeah, she's going whatever it is. She doesn't really have a choice. The only thing she can control at this point in time are her emotional reactions and apparently her head. Betty then realizes they're now slowly being lowered through a tube. It's a silvery tube and it's slowly lowering. I imagine it almost like some type of weird small elevator type of system. The new room that they arrive in has a hatch at the top and a platform on the bottom. The platform is drenched in what Betty describes as dazzling bar-like streaks of light that were raining down from above. The beings instruct Betty to stand on the platform and get under the hatch. It's noted they do say please.
That's nice.
Which I think is really nice.
Manners.
Yeah. I just wanted to call that out.
Okay.
Betty asks, what is it? And they respond, it's a cleansing thing. She goes, will it hurt? And they say, no, it'll cleanse you. But as she moves forward and stands on the platform, they hold out their hands as if to steady her if she slips. Betty steps onto the platform. The platform rises and immerses her in this brilliant light. White light swallows everything and just continues to get brighter and brighter and brighter. She says it wasn't hot. She said it didn't hurt. And as quickly as she goes up on the platform, it's lowered again. Before Betty even attempts or thinks about stepping off the platform, which I don't think she could because she's fucking floating, the beings say, would you follow us, please?
Why are they still asking her? Has she not shown her commitment?
It's just like, what?
She's literally on the fucking spacecraft floating.
Yeah. Betty asks, where? Just please follow us, they say. They escort her to a dark, wedge-shaped room and gesture for her to enter. They then say, would you please change? She says, I don't want to change. And they say, please. There's a white garment for you. Why do I have to change, she asks. And they go, please change. Betty, angered, shouts, I came here on my own free will. Why do I have to change now?
That's what she's arguing with?
Yeah.
Like,
not getting on the
this is the point.
This is where she's putting her foot down. I am not getting, that is an ugly dress. I'm not getting into that. And they respond with, please change. Quasga's waiting. Betty, relent.
Lululemon.
Oh, I only wear Lulu, bitch. Betty relents. After all, what can she do? She's already come this far. Betty steps into the small changing space and slips on the white garment. The garment is open in the front, loose at the arms, goes down to her knees. The edges are somehow sealed, even though there are no seams. The sides are connected at the neck by a silver clasp. Slits at the sides go up to her hips, and a small slit goes all the way up her back. Seemingly even more accessible, in my opinion, by this description than a hospital gown. It's just like they got access to everything.
In the front and the sides.
This is a bad porno.
Yes.
I may have regretted saying I would follow.
So does she. Hesitantly, she calls, I'm ready. Outside the room, the entities are waiting. Betty can only imagine what's going to happen next. She says a quick prayer and thinks, what is this all about? What are they doing to me? Again, as if the beings can read her mind, the leader of the escorting duo turns and says, you'll be all right. Follow us. Please get in back of me again. This time, Betty enters a bright, domed room. Cavernous. And I want to pause here and just be like, how much square foot is inside this craft? God damn. Going up staircases, down elevators.
Like the seventh room.
Many rooms. Like, God.
It's like a Harry Potter tent.
Yes.
Bigger
Exactly.
inside than outside.
Yep.
Exactly. In this room, Betty describes as cavernous, light pouring from everywhere. A box-like console, something likened to a flat desk or table, stands to one side with a panel of controls. With nothing else in the room, Betty kind of predicts where this is going and says, I'm not getting up there. Right as the words leave her mouth, Quasga reappears and walks into the room, this time in a different suit. Sensing her concern, Betty hears you're going to be all right. And it just pulsed into her mind over and over and over again. As much as she wants to resist, it's pointless because she is all of a sudden weightlessly floated directly onto the table as if carried by invisible hands. And although they are invisible, she now can't move. It's almost as if they're holding her down directly on the table. From the walls, Betty sees bendable silver wires that just randomly appear. She calls them needle wires because that's exactly what they have at the end of them. Needles. What are you going to do to me? She asks. And Quasga responds, we're going to measure you for light. And with that, he pulls out a small device and he passes it over her body a few times. The device has 2 side bars with something connecting in the middle. There's a picture that Betty drew of this. And I think my best description I can give you all is, do you remember those old like fans that people like used to wave at each other?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It like has 2 sticks on each side and it looks exactly like one of those fans opened up.
Wasn't that like what Betty Hill said?
Yes.
Too? She said they waved like a weird device over her to kind of scan her.
And they use needles to take samples.
I don't like it.
It matches too well.
I'm not going to ask you if you regret your decision yet, y'all, but we're going to keep going. And the
So
top...
far, I'm good.
Just wait.
I'm in.
Just wait.
I'm a little concerned.
After waving the device over Betty's body, Quasga says, you have not understood the word that you have. You've misunderstood some places. There are spots there from it. You are not completely filled with light. Obviously, completely unfucking sure what any of that means. Betty protests and goes, I believe I'm filled with light, which I would be saying the same. I'm filled with so much light. There's so much light inside me.
When I think of someone saying you're filled with light, like it means like you're filled with positivity, right? So if they're saying you're not filled with light, you've got some spots that aren't, maybe that's like, I've got some bad in me. And her being a devout Christian
that's where I think
is probably thinking like, I'm full of light. I'm full of faith and I believe. And they're kind of questioning that.
Unsure of what it means, Betty protests and says, I believe I'm filled with light. He responds with, we now must measure you physically. Betty, now frightened, says, you told me that you wouldn't have to measure me physically, that you have measured others in the past physically, but you would only measure me for light. And he says, we have to. There are some spots there. And Betty asks, is this going to hurt? Without hesitation, Quasga grabs one of the silver needle wires and slides it into Betty's left nostril. Betty is in pain and she can feel the pressure in her nose. There's no drilling sound, just the sound of something forcefully being rammed up her nose. Betty hears something inside her break, like something has passed through a membrane or cartilage. The pain spikes. You regretting it yet, guys?
Yeah, I'm still
Getting a
there.
COVID test.
Yes. We've all gotten COVID tests.
We've all been there.
The pain spikes. Sensing it, Quasga touches Betty's forehead, and just like that, the pain completely vanishes.
See, that's not bad.
Not
He
bad.
took the pain away.
Just wait. Why do you have to do this? She says. And he replies, it's important, without explaining anything at all. Then one of the other aliens unfolded a webbed, papery-like material, kind of like a roll. Quasga studied it while the nasal probe remained inside of Betty. Dizzy, she felt the wire withdraw. Its end tipped with a small ball that hadn't been there when it went in. They took something out. The beings conferred. We have to measure you for procreation. What are you doing that for? She says. He responds by saying, it won't hurt. The beings all gather at the end of the table. Betty can tell they're doing something. Exactly what, she's not sure. She can't lift her head as she's restrained to the table, but it feels like they're preparing something. Quasga has another needle wire he's pulling as he steps closer. He opens up her shirt, exposes her belly button, and jams it directly in. She can feel it moving around the inside of her body. Again, he puts his hand over her head, and instantly the pain is gone. He stops. Betty hears him mention something about missing parts. Panic flashes. Missing parts? Like, what does that mean? He starts moving it around again. The pain spikes. It stops again. Betty suddenly recalls that she had a hysterectomy after Sydney's birth. Is that what they're referring to as missing parts? After they remove the needle, she sees them grab another device from the ceiling that seemed to just appear out of nowhere. This one, much, much bigger. The mechanism is lowered from the ceiling, and it has a huge eye with a lens at the end. She prays it won't hurt. If the needle felt like it did, what is this huge device going to feel like? They descend it and bring it down to her abdomen. It's hovering. It's moving about her body, and then it rises. See, Quasga said, that didn't hurt.
There's a lot of similarity with Betty Hill's description.
Yes.
And that was in 61.
Ooh. And this actually didn't come out until I think 77 is when the book was published.
Right. So there's a lot of things like the navel thing, waving the hand to stop the pain, the device waving.
Same thing with the
My
Allegheny
first initial
Four,
thing is
too.
like there's a lot of similarities to something that came out just a few years earlier.
I'm hearing someone call it hoax.
Well, yeah, so that's what I was going to ask.
Maybe. We'll see.
Where are you leaning so far? Are you thinking because of the similarities that maybe it is a hoax, or is it because of the similarities maybe it's actually real?
Or they have an MO.
I'm leaning a little skeptic at the moment.
Okay.
See? Kwasga said. That didn't hurt. No, but the other things did, Betty said. He replied, I'm very sorry. It needed to be done. Possibly a few more moments. Please relax. After that, the beings confer again. And then her body is levitated upright and she is just being carried off of the table and carried towards the door. Once she reaches the door, her body is seemingly stretched out like she's walking, and she is now standing between the entities exactly as she was before. They escort her back to the dressing room and she's asked to put her clothes back on, which I think is the first nice thing they've done for her. Thank you. Get comfortable, girl. We got what we needed.
Yeah.
Dressed again, Betty is escorted into a half-cylinder compartment with 4 glass-like chairs on each side. They ask her to sit. As she does, some kind of transparent enclosure descends from the ceiling down on top of her, and she is now trapped on the chair inside of some type of glass compartment. The beings tell her they're about to fill the chair compartment with liquid. Betty lets out a panic yell, I'll drown, bitch! She didn't say bitch, I added that in her funsies. The beings tell Betty that they've made provisions for her safety and she will not drown, that there are 3 tubes that will be used. As long as she keeps her eyes closed, she has absolutely nothing to worry about. The beings slide 2 tubes into her nostrils and place 1 in her mouth. She can feel the airflow starting to come in. As soon as the tubes are there, a grayish liquid drips down her body and starts to fill the enclosure. She can feel the liquid slowly start to cover the entirety of her skin. As the seed container fills, vibrations pulse through the fluid. Oddly though, it's soothing. It's rhythmic. It feels good. Betty closes her eyes and she's now completely submerged in gray liquid. Betty focuses on the rhythmic whooshing of the fluid. At least that feels peaceful. That feels nice, almost happy. As Betty gets lost in the pulses, the beings tell her to swallow a syrup. Yeah.
Is this abduction porn? What are you feeding us, Sean?
Sean, where did you research this at?
Pornhub is not
Pornhub.com/alien-abduction.
This is someone's real story, y'all. Okay.
Swallow. It'll be good.
I gotta read this all over now. I'm crying. Betty gets lost in the pulses. The beings tell her to swallow a syrup. I can't.
Okay, pulses of serum.
I'm closing my eyes as I say this line.
So as she feels the pulses, they're like, it's okay. Open up. Swallow.
This is so ridiculous, but this is going to be an important talking point later. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So I'm going to cover my face.
Okay. As Betty gets lost in the pulses, the beings tell her to swallow a syrup. And like that, the syrup seeps into her mouth. It doesn't get any better.
What are you doing?
This is how it was written. It's a quote, damn it.
I'm so sorry. I can't.
Okay. Okay. And like that, a syrup seeps into her mouth tube. About a spoonful.
Sean. It's like, I'm done. It's like, I'm just walking away.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess. I believe myself. I can do this.
Oh my God.
I'm going to look away.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And like that, a syrup seeps into her mouth tube. About a spoonful.
You can't even.
No, I know he's going. About a spoonful's worth. And it's a sweet and thick. Sweet and thick like cough syrup. Okay. That's it. I'm leaving that one in. I'm going for it. I'm leaving it in. All right. The people need to know I can read this long. Okay. I'm crying. I'm literally fucking crying. Okay. Then more waves. A whirlpool of calm. Betty can't put a length of time to how long she was in the liquid, but a lot of time passes until suddenly the liquid is drained. The glass-like seat cover lifts off and she finally feels safe to open her eyes, except she can't. Was this some type of alien safety measure or precaution? Why can't she open her eyes? Then out of nowhere, it's like a hold is released and her eyes just suddenly blink open. 2 small beings stand before her, but this time they look slightly different. They're now wearing black hoods over their faces. Follow, they gesture, and the unseen force drew her between them and she levitates right over. She's now standing on some type of track, kind of like an escalator, or I like to think of the way she described it like those people movers at airports.
Yep.
The 2 beings and her stand on it and it begins moving as a door opens and they go into a tunnel. It has a low ceiling. It's super dark. There's no light fixtures. There's no sun. There's nothing. But somehow Betty can see. She notices that the light is actually illuminating from the being's silver suits. Have they always emitted light? Or does it only happen in the dark? Betty isn't sure. The light illuminates just soft enough to lead the way. As the tracks move and they slowly go through the tunnel, The track starts to slant up toward a silvery mirror-like barrier. They're about to hit it, but Betty can't get out the way. She can't get out the way. When the collision is about to occur, they end up passing directly through it without resistance. It was as if it was some type of barrier, some type of membrane. On the other side lays a thick atmosphere that is vibrating red. Red as if it's like some type of infrared light. It's so bright, and it seemingly is getting brighter and brighter. The light reflects off of everything that she can see, even the little being's silver suits. Strangely, Betty describes the red atmosphere as a solid, as if it's a solid that only they can move through, and everything is red except for the track beneath them that is moving them forward. In the distance, Betty can see square buildings with dark openings and land. It's a city. The buildings seem to be made out of stucco or cement. She can't really tell which, but they're definitely there. It's a weird realization, though, when she realizes there's no plants, there's no trees. She can only make out the silhouettes of buildings in the land, and everything is colored in red. But then Betty gasps. As she gets closer to a building near her, she sees terrifying creatures. And the creatures crawl over the buildings, hundreds of them, thousands of them. The building is completely covered in these headless creatures that have two large eyes on stalks sprouting from their bodies. The stalks seemingly can move independently of each other. The creatures have skinny arms and legs, full bodies, can climb the walls like monkeys, up, down, around, in and out of windows all over the place. Who are these? What are these? She asks the two beings escorting her. No answer. The eye stalks of the creatures gawk and all look at her as the trio moves past. She squirms, but alas, as they move past, there is no incident. And the only thing I can think of when I see these creatures, do you guys remember that TV show, Real Monsters, from back in the day?
Yes.
Do you remember that like fat little monster that holds up the two eyeballs? Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, that thing is like what I think about when I
all I was thinking was K-pop Demon Hunters.
I haven't seen it yet.
4 young kids.
Oh my God.
And like they have all these like weird demons that crawl out and all that. It just sounded like those.
I'm gonna put that on that Netflix tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been told that you have to watch
I mean,
it. Yeah.
I got 4 kids, so
Yeah.
and they're all 14 is the oldest, so they're all into it and they're all girls. So like I've watched that movie more times than I can count.
Yeah. This isn't weird me saying I'm gonna watch it.
It's actually really good.
Yeah. I have a 36-year-old friend who has watched it and is obsessed with the soundtrack and keeps sending me videos. I'm like, I'm not watching this. I'm not going down this rabbit hole.
As the team moves past these monsters, the track rises again towards another membrane barrier. She can see it shimmer. On the other side of this one, though, it's no more red atmosphere. This time, they move through it and they go into a green atmosphere. Betty describes it as beautiful. It's misty, there's water, a narrow causeway. She sees strange plants, long looping stems, animals that look like fish birds drifting into the haze, flying through the air. The green light shines, and it shines so differently, so much beautifully than the red light did. Her 2 alien escorts must have also in that moment felt some type of calm because they all of a sudden removed their black hoods, almost as if they didn't need it in this world. Betty describes the light in this area as getting brighter and brighter and brighter. As she looks around, Betty can see plants, but they're different. They're not like the ones from Earth. She comments on how she can feel the colors as they're pulsating through her. Ahead, she sees another city, pyramids, bridges, walkways, water in the background and above, just nothing but endless green, beautiful sky.
It kind of sounds like she's on an elevator from hell. To like she starts in the underworld with these weird creatures, and then she rises up into this paradise kind of place with brighter lights, colors, and all that. Very religious kind of parallels.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because at the beginning they told her that the Earth was on a bad path, and they're almost showing her where the path of Earth could go, right?
Ooh, I like that. I didn't think of it from that lens.
And that the plant life looks similar, but not exactly like that on Earth.
Yeah.
Which, as you were describing this world, it made me think.
Voynich?
Yes.
Dude, that's where I went to. I was immediately being like, this is the Voynich manuscripts.
Yes.
Like,
I was thinking like...
Is this the parallel world?
Very similar to that.
I love your guys' brains. You have great brains. You too, Matt. Great brains. The track moves very close to a pyramid-type structure that stands out to Betty. One of the edges is white, and it's different from a pyramid on Earth. This one has one big flat side, and then the other 3 sides are indented. This is definitely, wherever she is, it's some type of city. But as she looks closer, she doesn't see any activity occurring within the city. It's almost as if it's empty. As the track continues, Betty and the escorts come upon a prismatic crystal structure. Dozens of structures, different shapes, all made made of prisms, and they all have rainbows and are emitting this bright, bright light. Betty is scared. She doesn't want to be here anymore. But then the tracks stop. Which, first off, like,
Why?
this is the first beautiful thing.
This is the first beautiful thing that has happened.
That's weird
This
why that
sounds
would
so
scare her.
amazing.
Yeah. Overwhelming. Maybe she's just
Yeah.
like stimulated.
Too much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just too
that's
much.
what I'm
And
thinking.
she's like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah. I think that's got to be what it is. But as the tracks stop, Betty stops. The escorts stop, and the escorts walk away. They leave Betty standing in front of these crystals. A vague form ahead grew in this distinct emanating light. Betty can't make out the figure exactly right now, but then it slowly changes into this huge bird with wings outstretched. The light is now just blazing behind this bird. The bird is clearly too big to be real, but yet it looks real, and it looks alive. She can even see the slow movements of its breathing. As Betty is standing in front of this large bird, it looks like an eagle to her, and it has this fascinating light that is still just glowing directly behind it. And in that moment, the temperature randomly starts to rise, and it rises, and it gets unbearably hot, so hot that Betty starts to yell. The bird is just standing there, feathers fluffed out. The light seems so bright and so beautiful, but it's so hot, and she is screaming. And I want you to envision that she's describing this under hypnosis right now, and she's literally screaming. All of a sudden, she sees gold specks whirling around her like dust inside of sunbeams. And now the heat is making her weak. As she is under the hypnosis, she starts sweating in the hypnosis. And she just keeps saying it gets hotter and hotter. And then all of a sudden she screams to Jesus to help her. Then she starts to cool off in that exact moment. But she sees a small fire. And as she's cooling off, the fire slowly grows and it's flickering directly before her. Her hands randomly start vibrating full of pain. She closes her eyes here. And then when she opens them again, the light has dimmed, the heat has ebbed, the bird is completely gone. The fire that was once burning is now coals. The gray ash is flecked with just little red ambers. From the ashes, now completely lays a big, fat, gray worm. And in that moment, a voice came, and Betty heard the voice say, "You have seen, you have heard. Do you understand?"
No. You get like a phoenix rising from the fucking ashes, and then she goes through what sounds like a hot flash from hell, and then a big fat gray worm in front of her.
There's
So
a bunch
confused.
of symbolism in here that I can't quite put together, but it's wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a giant, like, fireworks.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's this fire, and then it's a gray worm.
We're going to lean into that
It's
phoenix in a few seconds, Kathy.
Phoenix for sure.
Yeah, we're going to lean into that in a few seconds. Betty responds with, obviously, no, I don't understand what this is all about. Why am I here? The voice then tells Betty that they have chosen her to show the world. With some voice randomly talking to her that was just emanating from white light, Betty asks, "Are you God?" And the voice responds, "I'll show you as your time goes by." Betty asks, "Are you my Lord Jesus?" "I would recognize my Lord Jesus." The response, "I love you. God is love, and I love you." "Why was I brought here?" Betty asks. They respond, "Because I have chosen you." "Won't you tell me why? What for? Why have you chosen me?" They respond, "The time is not yet. It shall come. That which you have faith in, that which you trust. It is true," Betty says. "I have faith in God, and I have faith in Jesus Christ. Praise God. Praise God. Nothing can harm me." And it responds, "We know, child. That is why you have been chosen. I am sending you back now. Fear not. Be of comfort. Your own fear makes you feel things I would never harm you. It is your fear that you draw into your body that causes you to feel these things. I can release you, but you must release yourself of that fear through my son." And it's with those words, "through my son," that Betty bursts with joy and tears streams down her face. And she yells, "Oh, praise God, praise God, praise God. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for your son." And I want to say that as I'm reading this, she is being hypnotized, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like the people hypnotizing her, they leave the room
I would too.
because they're just like, did we cause this? Is she losing her mind? Like, why is this turning religious? We thought we were talking to aliens. Like, what's happening? And they're even confused in this moment. Like, why did this turn super
It
religious?
sounds like she joined like an alien cult.
Kinda.
It's got like this whole Chariot of the Gods vibe to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole ancient
Oh,
astronaut
yeah.
theorist theory, and gods were actually aliens that visited us in the past, and it's got that whole vibe to it.
Betty was convinced without a doubt at this point that she had just experienced the most religious moment of her life, that she had communicated directly with God, and she was certain of it. Once the voices ended, Betty and the two beings retraced their path back past the crystals, through the green atmosphere. The aliens put their hoods on and they went through the membrane specter into the red atmosphere, past the headless creatures, through the membrane into the dark tunnel, and back to the ships. They then guided her into another chair, the chair filled with the liquid. She had the tubes in her mouth and her nose, and she drank that sweet, sweet syrup. As she heard the whirling calm, the gray liquid drained. They removed the tubes and the ship was back in her backyard. However, before they escorted her out, one of the alien escorts grabbed two white balls of light, orbs if you will, one slightly larger than the other. The alien who walks behind her carried both orbs before leading her back into her house. The beings let her know that Quasga had one final message for her. When Quasga entered the room, the little man looked up. I just thought that was funny that they added that in there. Looked up, placed his gloved hands on her shoulders, stared with his enormous eyes and said, "Child, you must forget for a while." Quasga's head seemed to blur in a way. One eye was white, the other was black. He looked different than previously. Two dark furrows marked his brow. To Betty, he suddenly looked like a bee with two feeler-like appendages. Then he spoke his final message. He said, "I will give formulas. Until man finds and understands these, no others will be given. Your race will not believe you until much time has passed. We love the human race and have come to help. Unless man accepts, he will not live. All things have been planned. Love is greatest. We do not want to hurt anyone, but because of great love, we cannot let man continue as he is. It is better to lose some than to lose all. We have technology man could use. It is through the spirit, but man will not seek that portion of spirit. Study nature. Within fire are answers. Within ashes, in the highest of the high, in the lowest of the low. Energy surrounds man, simplest energy. Within this atmosphere, many riddles will be given. Those who seek will find. They must remain hidden because of corruption. If revealed outright, man would misuse it. Others have been here. Many hold secrets within their minds. I am placing some within yours. They will be revealed when the time is right. Go now, child, and rest."
It just feels too much.
It's so much.
It's a lot.
You go through this whole experience to leave me with that?
Okay.
What?
So let's go down the rabbit hole that this is all real.
Send it.
The aliens are basically saying, I'm going to give you all of this knowledge that I can give you, and you have to take it and you have to spread our word. But mankind can only take this and receive this information if we are filled with love, if we are filled with goodness, and we are filled with kindness and love for all. Now, humanity, for the most part, has proven we are not filled with love.
They even said it, right? They came down and they're just like, y'all are killing each other, motherfuckers.
Yeah, you're
what are you
killing
doing?
each other, and if mankind gets this in the wrong hands, it can be used for corruption and bad. Even though I don't necessarily buy it, I think there's a message that could be taken from it that maybe mankind needs to not be so douchey.
The message we hear in a lot of alien abduction stories is they give us this warning that humans are terrible and we hate each other, and we need to be peaceful and loving of each other to be able to develop and grow as a species. Like you said, if we frame this that it's all real, is there the aspect that they frame this for her in a religious aspect in ways that make sense to her and her religious beliefs, so she can spread this out as what makes sense to her, opposed to just, we're aliens from another planet, God's not real, and this is this, and you guys suck.
Right.
See, that tracks for me because there's millions of Christians that might hear the story the way that they framed it and say, yeah, we have to change. Going with this is real. Did they go and find a Buddhist and tell the story through his eyes and then find an atheist and tell the story
but
in
a
different
Buddhist,
way? Right.
Buddhism is about inner peace and projecting peace and loving and accepting people for who they are, regardless of what their beliefs are. A Buddhist would probably, if they were going to have an alien encounter, would be able to look at the aliens and say, this is your life you're trying to give me. And they would be more open to it than I think.
I'm going to take it a much darker direction.
All right.
Of course you are.
But I'm going to bite my tongue for a few minutes, and I'm going to finish this because we're almost done.
Okay.
And then I'll share it at the end. The escorts carried the white orbs and guided Betty straight into the kitchen. The leader balanced the larger orb on the back of his hand, pointing towards the window by the pantry. From the shadows, randomly, Wayno, her father, shuffled out, partially awakened from the suspension. The orb remained on the back of the being's hand, and as he guided it into the living room, Wayno followed him. The other being returned. Betty, will you follow us, he said. He held the larger orb in both palms and led her directly into the living room. Her family sat motionless. Becky had this weird smile frozen on her face, and everyone looked exactly like a statue, unaware that Betty's presence had returned. You'll have to forget this for a time. You and your family, the being said. Many things we have told you will come out at the appointed time. The book is over there. And by the book, he meant the blue one that Quasga provided her at the beginning. We are now going to put you to rest, the being added. What about my children, she asked. He says, they have not been harmed. We're going to put them to rest too. The small one rose as if playing follow the leader and marched away. The stairs creaked as they went up, and only Betty and her parents remained below as they put the children to bed. She asked to see the blue book. None of the creatures answered. And then out of nowhere, another being appeared directly in front of her, raising his hand. One palm glowed a green candle-like light, and in the other, another white orb. She asked, what is your name? Juhop. I just love that name. Juhop. Juhop, what is this all about, Juhop? Juhop says, you will see as time goes by. And the blue book, is this for me? She asks. And he says, for a time, there is writing that can be discerned only through the spirit. Writing of light. The rest is for man to seek formulas, riddles, poems, writings to understand nature. For he too is nature. He is formed from love, and love is the answer. During this encounter, the beings also tell her that she'll only have the book for 10 days, and that after 10 days, the book itself will disappear, and it is her job and duty to understand as much information as she can in the next 10 days as possible before it disappears.
A library book?
Kinda.
What did you spend the next 10 days copying the book?
Yeah, taking pictures maybe?
Yeah. Not Betty. But Betty responded with, why doesn't man seek love all the time? And the creature responded, because man has separated himself. Duality. Follow me, Juhop said. They went up the stairs, the steps squeaking, into the white and purple room. And Juhop said, you will rest and forget until the time is ready. He turned the orb over on the back of his hand. Betty undressed, slipped into bed like a child, pulled the covers up. The orb hovered, his hand waved over her face, and she went to sleep. A deep, deep sleep. In the morning, Betty awoke, and she awoke to voices of her children.
Like any mother.
No, she went to bed, and the rest of her family was still frozen in the living room.
No, they put all the kids to sleep. They took Betty to sleep.
So tucked them in.
Yeah, you tucked them in. Yeah. Good night,
Okay.
child.
Yeah, you know what? If you've never had kids, having somebody
Sounds like
put
a
your
good
kid
night.
to bed
Yeah.
for
And she
you.
had
and
7.
Yeah,
So.
just 7.
That's true. I mean, if someone tucked my kids in for me and they're like, you can go to bed. I'm like,
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool.
It's like, I
See
can
you in
sit
the
here and
morning.
watch YouTube.
You just need to swallow a little gray
Syrup.
serum. Just a teaspoon.
Just a spoonful worth.
Yeah, it's fine.
To go back to our original question, I'm still in.
I think I might still be in.
I mean,
Really?
I think I would be too. Like,
Yeah.
You got
it
shit
really
jammed in.
wasn't that bad.
And they put a hand on her forehead and made all the pain
They
go
removed
away.
all the pain. Every time she had pain, they
You've never had to put a kid to bed.
It's
I'm just saying.
It's true.
It is fucking torture.
That's true. But they did,
is.
like, in her story, they made the pain go away. And in the end, it was really just for good.
It's unclear exactly how much of the events that Betty remembered. However, the blue book allegedly was inside her house the next day, and she ended up hiding it in her closet. But Betty didn't end up touching it until 3 days later.
So now she only has 7 days left.
Yeah, she's 7 days left. She didn't touch it for
Lazy.
3 days left. You could have been writing shit down, future technology. All the world's secrets could have been in there. What are you doing? Betty
talked
did-
about Bitcoin in 1960.
Yes.
She could have been a billionaire.
Missed opportunity, Betty. 3 days later, though, Becky, her eldest daughter, approached Betty about a bad dream she had. Remember how Betty
She woke up.
Yeah.
And during the initial encounter with Quasga and the aliens? Well, Becky remembered it, but just thought it was some crazy-ass dream. So 3 days after the event, Becky goes to her mom and tells her about the dream. And then all of a sudden, some of the memories start coming back to Betty. Betty tells Becky that it's not a dream and that she has to keep it to herself to not scare the other children. And to prove it's real, Betty shows Becky the blue book. The two look at the book for a while, and Betty tells Becky not to worry and not to be scared about her memories because the book's from Jesus. and that they were angels that came down and that were with her. During the 10 days with the book, Betty prays to Jesus to help her understand it. And with the power of Jesus, some of it actually starts to make sense. However, when she was about to share what she understood with the investigators, apparently an alien took control of her body and starts using Betty as a medium to talk directly to the investigators to make sure that Betty doesn't give away any of the information.
Who are these investigators?
Harder.
Oh, okay.
Harder.
Yep.
Yeah. Same guy who's doing the hypnotist. The investigators apparently get to talk directly to an alien named Andantio. There was like 5 pages of conversation they had, and it's basically just a circle of conversation. Basically, the alien says human beings are too simple. Mankind is not ready to receive the information. You will know when you're ready. When you're ready, the investigators are like, how can we become more ready? We want to talk to you, bro. And he's just like, you'll know, like you're not ready. And it's a whole circle.
All right.
Betty did believe, though, that Andantino is the same race as Quazaga and that they are all messengers of the Lord. So she was pretty chill about the whole situation with aliens taking over her body and communicating through. Andantio is like, at the end of the day, in order to understand, know yourself first. The formulas are very simple, but you got to know yourself to understand. And that's where the first book really ends.
Pretty sure that's what Buddha said too. Understand yourself, you don't understand all.
Yeah, that's what the alien said.
Wow, it's quite a story.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious now a little bit about her because that's a lot to make up.
Yeah.
A lot of symbolism in there. But the fact that the daughter had some bad dream and remembered it too, that adds some credence.
Strange.
This was not just a hallucinogenic or some kind of a break.
Waino, Betty's father, did say at first when Betty tried to talk to him about it and be like, hey, like, do you remember anything that happened on Wednesday night? Like anything strange that is going to happen? He was like, no, don't know what you're talking about. But I guess years down the road was just like started to remember something and memory started to come back. And he explicitly said on the record, I don't want to be part of any of that alien shit or something that. Basically, like, I want nothing to do with that.
I was going to say, like, if he's like an older generation, they probably would be more closed-minded to it, especially if he was like super, super religious.
Yeah.
Probably be like, nah, I'm not even touching that.
This tracks with Benny and Barney Hill and the Allagash 4, where they didn't remember anything. And then under hypnosis, years later, they started to remember things.
Yeah. Now, there's a couple interesting questions the book asks, and which ultimately leads to this longer series of books. A couple things like when they took that silver needle and put it into her nose and pulled something out, how did it get there to begin with? Because it was something silver and small and metallic that got pulled out of her. They also recognized something's missing that we weren't expecting, like what's happening there. So that started to get them to hypothesize, was this not the first abduction? And had she been previously abducted and that thing in her nose was an implant?
Oh, so she got abducted before, got the implant, got left back, got the hysterectomy done.
Yeah, and
then they took her back and they're like, hey, what the hell happened down here?
Yeah, you're missing some parts.
Like, this was here before.
Yeah, not as we left it. But that's actually what led the investigators to wanting to bring her back for more stuff after telling the story.
Did they ever do any like scans of her brain to see if there was like any scar tissue or anything like that?
She did have some like doctors look at her, and supposedly she did have some scars and stuff that they couldn't explain supposedly what happened.
Oof.
I didn't get down to like the deep reading because like I said, I focused this episode on just this first abduction. I did get some hints if you want to hear some other things. Supposedly, they believe that she was abducted at 12 years old, and they think that's what led to like the implant in her brain. I didn't get to read all about it because I was like, this is almost 2 books worth of reading just to get this story done. She ends up getting remarried to a guy named Luca. I think it's Bobby Luca. Bobby ends up getting abducted as well. It ends up being that many of her children come out saying that they were abducted, and it's a whole family thing. So this goes fucking deep. Like this whole story goes way deeper than that.
Okay, let's say this is all real and you're a scientist and you're studying genetics. You would want to see how genetics change, and to understand us, we'd have to understand our offspring, and that's just absolutely fascinating, right?
We talked to one of our listeners when we first started who claimed to have been abducted, and he said like he had been abducted and then like his uncle had been abducted and then wasn't like his grandfather or something.
I don't know if they were abducted, but they had encounters,
and
right?
like his daughter had experiences, and I kind of was like, well, is this like because it's a family thing that they're monitoring your family line?
My question with her is, how much of this did she remember or start to have memories of before the hypnosis? Because like Betty and Barney Hill, she was having dreams and she was writing in her journal and writing the star map and all these things. And she was remembering a lot of this before
Yeah.
She went under hypnosis? Was this woman just, hey, something weird happened the other night, and then she went under hypnosis and then had this whole thing?
Yeah.
Or was she having little bits of stuff and then expanded?
Great question. From the book, from what I gathered, was that she had some memories of what happened, mostly when she wrote into, this doctor who was seeking people who had firsthand alien encounters. At that point in time, she remembered the night. She remembered a glowing light that came through the window. She remembered some type of beings had interacted with her, and she remembered the book, from my understanding. And those were the things that she remembered, and she couldn't piece the rest of it together without the hypnosis.
Yeah, that's eerily similar to Benny and Barney Hill, right? Where they remembered seeing something in the sky. Barney took a shot at it. And
took his gun out.
Yeah, he said he saw creatures in the windows looking back at him. But being abducted, that was all 100% missing for them.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. Now, I want to hit on one thing that you all were talking about. Okay, you get abducted. Are you seeing this through the lens that you can understand and that you can interpret? Or are the aliens that are abducting you feeding you a specific vision that makes sense to the lens of your understanding? I want to replay her scenario. The first thing she gave them was the Bible. She fed them her beliefs.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, let's say that these aliens even have negative intent. And their whole job is, I just want to study you, bitch. And that's it. Maybe they created this fantasy of this whole entire situation of it being about God and about beliefs to calm her down and to give her something that if her memories did come back, it's a positive experience so they could just do whatever the fuck they wanted to do to her when they had it. Think of how you could mold that vision to any single thing that you ever abducted and took away. I'm going to get what I need from you. You're going to be left with this, oh my God, this is beautiful moment as you're left there. Could it be that lens? Could they be nefarious? Could it be negative? Could it have this absolutely terrifying intent, but they're just feeding you something positive that puts it in a lens that only you can understand to make you feel good?
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who
hurt me?
What scenario? In what scenario have you ever heard of somebody nefarious doing something, leaving you with a peaceful, calm, oh, this feels good after effect?
I hear you. I think that's a fair argument, but think if you knew you were coming back over and over and over again, and there's your technology. Think of doctors, right? They know when you do anesthesia, there's a chance you're going to potentially wake up when you do that. Yeah, exactly my point. They know there's a risk.
Yeah.
So let's make it a positive experience. So even if it does happen, they're not scared of it happening again. Or when they do tell people, they're now entering these beings as a positive thing that's happening to them into the universe. I don't know. I just think everyone's like, oh my God, I want to go for a ride. And I'm still like, fuck these things.
I still, in my mind, if all of this is real, they literally could just blow up the earth. If they really were think about it though. Think about it. No, I know it's a leap, but if they have the technology to do all of these things, right? If they really wanted to just put an end to us.
I don't think that's it though, but they clearly wanted to study her. They injected things into her nose, into her slings.
Every case where they're studying us, and yes, I know they're probing and people are swallowing shit and they're taking things out of your brain.
They left her anus intact.
They did. They did. No anal probing. It's not an episode of South Park. That we know of. It's all positive, and it's all that same repetitive message of just humanity is not ready for this. You guys are still corrupt. You can't take it. But we want to put this out there where maybe their intent, again, if this is all real, their intent is to put that message out there so that maybe enough people will be open and accepting of it that they can, help us to evolve to the next plane.
You just want the aliens to be good. You're just I just want to hop on this ship. They're not evil. Stop shooting them. I get you.
Because, I just don't. I mean, I'm sure there's bad aliens out there, right? Just like bad humans, but.
Sean, ancient astronaut theorists say no. Aliens were the gods.
Yeah.
And that would track to the story.
Maybe they are the gods.
I mean, I agree. I mean, if aliens were bad, if there was a malevolent alien race out there, whether they want the planet for resources or whatever, there's no reason to fuck with us. You could so easily wipe out life and just keep the raw planet as it is. It's not that hard for someone with that kind of technology.
If you can travel interstellarly, you can wipe out humanity.
Or
easily.
Or if there was a mineral or a substance that was only our Earth, they could take it without us even knowing.
Yeah, but I also think this. You're a hyper-advanced civilization. right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see humans down there. Let's say there isn't anything you need from them. You're going to treat them like we treat the fucking apes in the zoos, right? You're just going to take them. You're going to study them. You're going to capture them. You're going to look at them, and they're going to send them all off. You're going to tag us, put us back in, get some fucking GPS on us.
But maybe we have to have these encounters in order for us to evolve to the human race's next level of evolution.
What sense of help did Betty get out of this? She got studied. She didn't get help.
She got studied, but also the message that the extraterrestrials, that other life forms that are out there are here in peace, that they are here in kindness.
Well, maybe the problem is who they're giving the message to. They're just picking the wrong people.
Maybe.
Like Betty, as much as they gave her this message of what we need to do or what people need to do, they picked a woman that they thought was the right person, but she has no voice. She has no platform. She has no one that can listen to her. So they're like, hey, this woman is pure, whatever, all this stuff. Like, she is going to understand what we're saying, but no one listens to what she's saying because they're like, who the hell is this lady? She's just some random lady from, what is it, Massachusetts?
Yep.
I think it was.
Ashburnham.
Yeah. Hey, don't discard people from Massachusetts.
Hey, I'm not discarding Massachusetts. I'm just saying she's just some random woman. They don't understand how our social hierarchy works.
Especially during
you're not going to
60s.
listen to someone who doesn't have a voice. And they're picking someone that makes sense to them, but doesn't make sense to the world as how we operate.
I like that because it finds someone who's pure, who has a lot to say, right? That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Think if you were going to go out and study a creature, I don't know, name whatever you want. Let's say let's just use the ape or sharks. We'll run with it, right? You're going to talk to that shark as you're getting there, and you're going to like talk to it like it's a child in a way, right? You're going, oh, sorry, Sharky, I'm not going to hurt you. Come over here. That's what I'm saying.
But they do that.
Because
and they study it and they tag it, but then and just because humanity doesn't see it or understand it, maybe they have influenced us. I don't know.
You love the aliens, I know.
I just
Me too.
I do. To them, we're aliens, right? So, like, what makes us holier than thou that, like...
They're stronger than us, better technology than us.
But it doesn't mean that there's not a civilization out there that's
You saw what we did to the natives, bro. You saw what we did. Like,
I know. Humans suck. Well, okay, I don't want to say humans suck. I'm going to say...
aliens to the same standard as us,
humanity
right?
as a whole.
Yes.
It's a common theme. You see it in video games. You see it in abduction cases, everything. It's like they study us to make sure we're on the right path. And if we're doing something wrong, they covertly intervene to be like, hey, you screwed up here. Maybe tweak the way you're doing. That's why you see things like, they say you see Mothman at Chernobyl.
Yes.
That's why all these things happen around disasters and things like that. They say there's so much UAP activity around nuclear events because they're like, you guys are screwing up. You're doing it wrong. And we need to monitor what's going on so you guys don't kill yourselves because you have potential to be like a great civilization in the Galactic Federation or whatever. You have a great chance to grow as a species to be part of what we're doing, but you can't screw it up.
Yeah.
You're not there yet. And you're screwing it up.
And there's also the idea, too, that when we talk about extraterrestrial, there are some beliefs that it's not necessarily another life form. It's actually us from the future coming back to say to us, hey, you guys are fucking up. You guys are going off course. We're you from the future. You need to correct your path. Don't know that we're on the right path right now, but...
We also had the case where there was UFOs outside of a nuclear facility and all of a sudden all their missiles went offline.
Yes.
Yeah, and that would track with the story that she's telling, right?
It's weird, man. It's weird. I feel like we could continue talking about this for hours. So I'm going to put the hypothetical, telepathic gun to your head and make you decide right now on the spot. We're going to go Kathy, Chris, Matt, me. Was Betty abducted? Was this real? Kathy, what do you say?
I'm going to say I don't think Betty was abducted.
Still love you, Betty.
I'm on the fence. Yeah, I need to know more. I can't say one way or the other.
I can recommend a 9-part book series.
Yeah, I was going to say there are more abductions.
Matt?
I want to say yes, but I am leaning no. There's just too much. It's too detailed, too much stuff.
I'm with it. I don't believe it because when I started doing research for this, we got a subscription, Matt, to newspapers.com, which is like pretty cool, actually. The first thing that blew me away was how much alien abductions or UFO movies or TV shows videos or articles showed up into newspapers in the 1960s and 70s. It was plastered all over every single newspaper. Like, I was literally searching for information on this event, and I think I saw 100 different advertisements in like 1967. Matt, you called this out. You're like, there's so many things that are similar to Betty and Barney Hill's story. And when I start thinking of how plastered these speakers were that were traveling around the Northeast talking about UFOs, Betty and Barney Hill's story that was going out here, how UFOs are being plastered into space. And then I see a woman with 7 children in a fractured marriage who knew she was probably going to end up divorcing her husband, who is now injured and may never work ever again. There might be money to be made from telling a fantastical story like this that could lead to something really cool. And it led to a book deal that became one of the most known abduction stories in America. And I hate to call anyone a fake or a fraud, but when you start putting the trail together, that makes way more sense to me than this story that we heard here.
It reminds me of like the late 70s, early 80s with the paranormal experience where everybody had like a haunting. Everybody had some sort of experience. It's kind of what it reminds me of. I love the message.
Worst case scenario, she wants to help mankind.
Yeah.
She wants to help us turn it around and spread love. And if she's doing that through fraud, then hey.
At least that, even if it is fraud, at least the message is good.
Yeah. If you're going to grift with a good heart.
Yeah.
If you're going to grift and make some money and you're spreading a good message.
I'll buy it.
Yeah. There's worse messages out there for sure. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us here for this story, man. The last thing we want to do is kind of roll out the red carpet for our guests here, give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about your podcast or anything else you want to plug. So anything you want to throw out there for the gang?
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. Next episode is going to be on Stephen Greer and his experiences and kind of the whole current UAP disclosure space.
Nice.
So everything that's going on, it's going to be more of a recent kind of deal instead of a historical kind of episode. So keep an eye out for that. I appreciate you having me. And then, obviously TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, I'm posting every day. I'm Paranormal Directive 13. But I appreciate you guys having me. And it was a great time. I really had fun tonight.
Thanks, man.
Yes,
appreciate
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And gang, we hope that you enjoyed today's episode as well. If you did, make sure you head over to our Instagram, that is at Weirder After Dark, where I will be posting 1.5 bazillion photos and drawings from our girl, Betty herself. She drew these aliens, she drew Quasga, she drew every single step of her journey. We can see it all, even the big phoenix burn up in the fire and turn into a worm. You can see that as well there too, so be sure to check that out. And don't forget that we are out there building some communities. So if you are wasting your time, if you're just sitting around doom scrolling inside your bed, why not head over to Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, and search Weirder After Dark. And there you can talk to Kathy, Chris, myself, and other listeners like you who are enjoying this shit. And if you are enjoying this shit, or perhaps maybe you're absolutely fucking loving this shit, the best thing that you can do for us is wherever you are listening, either that is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review and drop a little message on that for us if you think we deserve it. And lastly, don't forget that we are always out here looking for your weird New England stories. So, I don't know, as, a bunch of 4-foot men showed up inside your house and fed you syrup, don't tell us about it if that happened. But if it did, also send it over to the gang at weirdafterdark.com. We're here for that shit, or any other weird, spooky, strange stories. And with that, friends, remember, it always gets a little weirder after dark.
Bye.
Thank you, yes.